Welcome to my review of Mike Tyson's Punchout for the NES. Now, most people are going to be familiar with this game. This is definitely a popular game. But I kind of wanted to give my feedback on it. So yeah, this game, to me, this game stands out even to this day as you know, such a unique game. There's really nothing else like it except for other games in the Punch-Out series. You know, there have been a few imitators like Tough Man Contest, and there was a few games, you know, over the years that tried to imitate it. I know there was another game on Game Boy Advance. I can't remember the name of it, but there's been, you know, I've seen several games trying to imitate the style of this game. But this old NES game still does it way, way fucking better than any of the imitators. The only games that come close to imitating this style and actually pulling it off are the games in the series. And some of them are arguably even better than this one. But this one definitely holds a place in my fucking mind because it was the first experience that I had with this game. Now, of course, there was Punch-Out and Super Punch-Out in arcades before this game, which most people didn't even know existed. I didn't know about them. But I've played those on MAME, and they play way more clunky. They have less fighters. You know, it's basically like a stepping stone for what this game became, which is really a massive improvement over those first two games in the arcade. And, you know, had those arcade games came home, they wouldn't have been nearly as impactful as this game was, because this was just done so well with so much extra content. And just the control is just way, way tighter than those games. And one of the amazing things about this game is just the amount of depth that this game has, even to this day. I mean, you can constantly try to, you know, to beat the fighters in quicker times. There's exploits and things that people find that nobody even knew about, you know, for years. There's just so much information that comes out about this game as players, you know, dig deeper into it. It's such a deep game. And now the newer entries in the series, they may even have more depth because they added other things and other ways to counter moves and stuff like that. But the way this game works, for those that aren't familiar, is each fight is pretty much like a real-time puzzle. And the enemies you fight against, they all have patterns that can be countered with, you know, with perfect timing. And there's ways to get extra damage, like hitting them at certain precise moments. You can get stars, which, if you get a star, you get a super punch by pressing the start button, and you can do massive damage if you land it. Now, some opponents will be able to dodge that at certain times, so there's a lot to it. Now, for this fight, this was a unique fight. This guy, initially, you don't even know how to damage him, but the trick is you have to hit him in the mouth when he opens his mouth, and then punch him in the stomach. And that's the only way to damage him enough to knock him down. And once you knock him down, he's so fucking fat, he can't get up off the canvas, so you get an instant win there. But the game just had unique ideas like that, which were unseen at the time. I mean, this was very unique. And when I think about it, you know, not only is this one of my favorite NES games of all time, but when I think about it, this game has never really been, you know, there's never been anything like it except for the other games in the Punch-Out series. So, you know, it gives you an idea of how highly I think of this game. And it is one of my favorite games on the system, like I said. I mean, it may be second to Super Mario Bros. 3 for me, you know. And in some ways, this is even better because of the amount of depth it really has. Now, I guess if you're a speedrunner, a lot of these games have a lot of extra depth. You know, like Super Mario 3, I'm sure is, you know, insanely detailed if you try to speedrun it and get faster times. But I guess that could be said with a lot of games. But for me, this game, as just a regular, you know, regular player of the game, to me, it really has a lot of replayability and depth, you know. And, of course, the end is extremely difficult with Tyson at the end. It's a notorious final boss fight. Very hard. I think it took me around 7 hours to get the second round TKO. I actually started working on this game seriously when I got a new TV, an OLED TV. I wanted to test the input lag. So I said, you know, I was thinking, what better test than for me to learn Tyson and master the game, you know, and beat it at least. Not really master it. But, so that's when I started with this game and started getting serious with it. I never officially beat the game when I was young. I did beat Tyson by decision when I was young, I believe, but that was with the direct Tyson code. The legit way to beat the game is you have to use the code, the password that starts you at Macho Man. You have to beat Macho Man and then Tyson to legit beat the game. If the Tyson password was actually a secret password, and it wasn't given to you in the actual game. So I had to like kind of go back and redo it. And I didn't want to just beat Tyson by decision again. I wanted to get a TKO. So getting a knockout is insane. A 10 count, it's extremely rare. But a TKO is all I was going for, and I was able to do that after about 7 hours of practice. And I do show that in this review and in my tutorial of the game, which I'll link in the description, so check that out. Actually, my tutorial is for Tyson. It's kind of a sloppy tutorial, one of the first tutorials I did, and my advice doesn't line up exactly with what I'm doing in the video, so it is kind of sloppy. Maybe one day I'll redo it, but it does give some strategies for Tyson and how to go about taking him down. So I think it's pretty useful. But yeah, all the fighters have, different things you need to counter and dodge. Basically, you can dodge left to right, you can duck, and you have a high left punch and a high right punch, and then you have, stomach punches left and right, and your star punch is your power punch, and that's it. You don't really have that many moves, but you have to use them at the right times to counter everything. So for this guy, you got to hit him high when he does the uppercut, and then I believe you have to stomach punch him to hurt him afterwards. I think he only takes stomach damage, if I remember right. And then, of course, they have their signature moves. Like, he has these super fast lightning quick uppercuts he does that you have to be ready to dodge. And this game, like I said, it gets very difficult at the end, so it's going to be a brick wall at the end when most players get to Tyson. But you can get it with enough practice, perseverance. And I recommend checking out my tutorial and other videos online to really get an idea of some strategies you can use and to beat it. But it's going to be practice. Once you have a decent idea of the strategies you're going to use, you're going to have to put in some hours of practice to get the timing down. It's a very, very tight timing, so it's very difficult. It's not real approachable, but, to most players, it's not going to be super approachable to the majority of players, but it is doable. I think anyone can do it with enough practice. You do not want to be playing on a TV that has high input lag or anything like that. You want to minimize your input lag if you're playing on an emulator or whatever the case. You do not want high input lag with this game. It makes a huge difference. So it can get you killed a lot more. I accidentally had game mode off on my TV, and Macho Man was fucking destroying me when I normally would beat him without taking any damage in the first round. That's how I knew something was fucked up on my TV. As soon as I set it to game mode, response was super tight, and I was destroying him again, but make sure that you have your input lag taken care of. You don't want high input lag. So yeah, this is Macho Man. Then after him, of course, is the legendary Tyson fight. But yeah, just such a well-designed game with the unique styles of the characters. They're all unique. They're all very fucking memorable. I never forgot all these characters. Now, one downside of the game is that the final circuit, before you get to Macho Man and Tyson, you get your password at Macho Man. And at that point, when you get a password, you only have to beat Macho Man and then Tyson. Of course, it's easier said than done to beat Tyson, but it's kind of unbalanced because the password gives you access to the last two guys. But there's a long-ass stretch of characters where you have to refight all the characters again, which is actually very cool. They have new moves. They're a lot harder. And it's very cool that you have to refight them again, but they're different the second time around. I like that a lot. But what I didn't really like is that you have to go through a large stretch of characters in the final circuit before you get your next password. And when you do get the next password, it's just the last two guys. So it's kind of unbalanced with that. I think there could have been a password sooner. I think it would have been better. But it's not really a huge issue because, like I said, those parts are a joke compared to Tyson. So you're gonna have to get good at the game anyway. So it's not really a huge complaint against the game. But I think that could have been tightened up a little bit. But that's one of the only negative things I can say about the game. And I have completed all games in the series except the 2 arcade games. I should go back and try to beat them. They are a lot clunkier though, but I'm sure I could beat them with practice pretty easily. I just haven't played them too much. But they play a lot worse. But as far as the series goes, it's hard for me to pick a favorite. This one has the biggest impact on me because this was my first Punch-Out game, and I fucking love it. But, of course, Super Punch-Out was amazing. The one on Wii was fucking awesome. And the one on Wii probably has more depth and probably even provides more challenge, I would say, than the original game because some of those fights on the second, where you do all the title fights for the second time, title defense mode, because after you beat the Wii version the first time, it goes into title defense mode. And some of those fighters on that second round are very tough. Like Sandman can take hours to beat. He's very difficult on that second. I actually haven't completed him yet on that. I have to work on that again. But yeah, awesome fucking game. Probably even deeper than this entry. So the Wii one may actually be the best one in my opinion. Super Punch-Out was awesome. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. I may like this better. I probably like this game better than Super Punch-Out, but it's really close, and it's just more of it's kind of more of a bias thing because this was my first one, and I have a lot of nostalgia for this shit. But I mean, I try to review games as an actual fucking game, and not really. I try not to go too deep into my personal feelings on some of the aspects of it. But I pretty much put this up here with any of the entries in the series. It has its own it's its own unique little flavor to the other games in the series. It complements them, so it's hard for me to pick a best one. I'd have to think about it for a while. But yeah, this is the hardest fight in the game, obviously. The first round, Tyson can take you down instantly in one hit with the uppercuts. But once you get to about 122 or 132 on the clock, he goes into these straight punches, which are much easier, don't take much damage out of you. And if you make it to once you make it to the second round, he loses his ability to one-hit uppercut you. So he does mix up his moves, and it can be hard to dodge, but at least it won't kill you in one hit, or down you in one hit, I should say. But if you get knocked down a few times, you won't be able to get back up. So you don't want to get knocked. I think if you get knocked down 3 times by Tyson, you may not be able to get up. So you really don't want to get knocked down. But if you can survive that first minute and 22 or whatever it is, you have a very good chance at that point. You then have a good chance of trying to put in an attempt to beat Tyson. If you have a strategy, you want to have a good strategy. My strategy was to get him down to barely any health for the second round. And then what I try to do is stomach punch him. Let's see if I pull it off here. Yeah, like that. And I get the instant knockdown in about 10 or 11 seconds. So that's my first knockdown. Then I only need 2 more knockdowns. So that sets me up to get the TKO for the second round. That's how I try to do it. There was definitely some fuck-ups here, though, but I ended up getting it in this video. I've done the second round TKO a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times, but I did a tutorial on one of them. I could always redo it and try to tighten it up for a better tutorial, maybe, and record some new commentary. Maybe do commentary for the whole game, even. If anyone's interested in seeing that, maybe I will redo the game at some point. But yeah, this is a very satisfying fight to finally beat. This is one of those final bosses. It's one of the hardest bosses in gaming for a default setting on a game, for sure. So, beating it is definitely a nice accomplishment, a nice satisfaction. One of the best climaxes for a game because you get a really satisfying finish, So I really did enjoy beating this one. And this is the proper way to finish off an already challenging game with a, extremely difficult but fair fight. It really makes it satisfying, and I think it's a great way to finish off the game. So yeah, for the uniqueness of this game and the fact that there's really still nothing else like it, I'm going to give this game a 9.5 out of 10. And I think that it still holds up just as good now as it did back then. So I don't really have a different rating for current because there's really nothing else like it even to this day except for the other games in the series. If you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.